What's poppin', fam? Welcome to Don't Touch My Mindset, a podcast that is designed to uplift, inspire, and motivate you, and most importantly, share tools to help you protect that mindset. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Jay Chase, or welcome back. Is it too early to say welcome back? I don't know. But I'm inspired to be here, super happy, grateful. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. First and foremost, last week's episode was awesome. You guys really liked it. Thank you for the feedback. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please go back and check it out. It's called The Importance of Self-Love. Ratings, reviews. If you like it, share it with a friend. It all helps the show grow. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This week, I wanted to take a look at healing and what that looks like for you, or what that has looked like for me, and maybe my perspective can help you ask yourself some tough questions or help you progress on your healing journey. And honestly, this was all inspired by a conversation I had with my homie last night. My homeboy looked at me and said, I'm going to rehab for 45 days. I said, why? And he's about to be a father, and he said, I'm doing it for the baby and my wife. And I was like, no, you're not going to rehab for 45 days if you're doing it for your baby or for your wife. You got to do that for yourself. That healing process begins with yourself. And I told him, my dad is a great example. He went to rehab 10 plus times, and it never worked because he didn't do it for himself. We as a family wanted him to go. He wanted to be a good father for all of his kids. But it didn't work until he did it for himself. Or even me. It took me going to prison to realize that I wanted it for myself. Yeah, before I wanted to get sober for my mom or my sisters to save the relationships that I was losing because of my addiction, because I wasn't ready to look at my addiction and heal that. It took me going to prison. I didn't go to rehab to realize I wanted that for myself. So yeah, that starts with us. Our healing process starts with us, where we start. All of this made me think about my healing journey and how I maintain that on a day-to-day basis and what that looks like. So let's dive. I believe that healing can be broken down into 4 stages, or there are 4 stages of healing, because it's a cycle, it's a process. We're always going to be healing. It's a never-ending process. But first, we gotta think of what healing is. What is healing? When I think of healing, I think of my darkest moments. I think laying in my cell, depressed, clutching my Bible, crying. I think of shining light on my shadow self of the things that I've been hiding from. I think of taking a look at my addiction and seeing how it's destroyed my life. I've pressed the self-destruct button so many times in my life that it was becoming oblivious to me. But that is the cycle that I was stuck in because of how I was taught to deal with my pain. It comes from clenching on to beliefs that were ultimately hindering my growth versus expediting my healing process because I wasn't practicing them right. First mistake, avoidance. I would avoid it completely, whatever the problem was, whether it was my drinking, relationships, whether it was family, whatever it may be, a bad breakup, I would avoid it. I would just go deal with it in a separate way. I wouldn't heal from it. Second mistake, ignorance. I'd ignore it. Anytime somebody wanted to talk about something, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. Anytime I needed an intervention, I would say, nah, I'm good. Ignorance. I would just blatantly ignore it. Mistake number 3, I would confuse my passion with aggression. I would grasp onto things and think, if I keep this memory, I'm healing. I can love this as a memory, but ultimately I'm grasping onto the relationship or the tragedy that happened or the trauma and not growing from it. It's stunning my growth. Those are the 3 mistakes that I learned that aren't healing but can feel like healing. So what is phase number 1 of healing? I believe that to be the initiation phase. That is, like any step-by-step process, acceptance. Phase number 1 is acceptance of the pain that has brought you to this point, the fire that you just went through, the battle that you have fought, accepting that. Now, I'm not saying to dwell on the traumatic event. I'm saying when you're in your room in your safe place, look back on it, accept that that pain is there so you can initiate your healing process. And that goes for whatever you're healing through, whether that's death, tragedy, a breakup, moving, whatever it may be, whatever you're scarred from, you have to become aware of that pain, be aware that it's there so you can initiate your healing process. When my uncle died, I had to do that. I had to sit there and say that he's not coming back. He's not here. So let go of this thought that I wish he was here. I wish I could have said this. I wish I could have said that. It's not going to happen. I had to accept that, make myself aware of that so I could initiate my healing process. Same thing when my niece died. Same thing when my dad died. Step 1 is acceptance. Step 2 is the crawling phase. Okay, I'm ready to heal, but how do I do that? How do I heal? How do I heal properly? And that was my biggest thing, was how do we heal properly? We start crawling, we start seeing what's out there, we start getting books or reading Instagram posts of a brighter and better future, but nobody really dives into the work of doing that, of what that actually looks like. That healing process is extremely painful. I found this phase of healing, for me, is where I bump my head a lot. Is where I got frustrated, where I realized I wasn't where I thought I was. When I got triggered, it set me back 10 steps. Or when somebody did something, I took it extremely personally. But then I remember I was like, I just read that book. I can't take that personally. That's the crawling phase, the beginner stage. Even a baby takes months to walk or learn how to walk. It has to crawl first. So in this crawling stage, we're learning tools. We're seeing what's out there. We're dipping our toes in the water. We're literally learning how to go down this healing journey. But phase 3 is my favorite, the rediscovery. The rediscovery of who you are and why you're healing. I believe after something traumatic happens to us, we're infected with emotional poison, we're stripped from our wings, we can't soar how we're meant to. So during this rediscovery phase, we get to ask ourselves, who are we? Who am I? I'm not just a car salesman. I'm not just a guy who's trying to make a podcast. Who am I? I'm not just a guy trying to get by. I want to be a good person. So what steps do I need to take to do that? Why am I healing? Why am I here? Well, I'm tired of pressing the self-destruct button on my life. My previous actions didn't work out. I'm tired of living in fear, anger, being depressed, anxiety through the roof, overthinking every situation. Why don't I take a look at my emotional poison and begin to heal it? Begin to truck through the shame, the guilt, the abandonment issues, the abuse, the father wounds, the mother wounds. Why don't we start to look at that and ask ourselves, who do we want to become? Do we want to stay infected with that for the rest of our lives? Or do we want to become our own person and paint our own future and make sure that we can pass this down for generations to come? Or just keep it in our mental health toolkit? But those are the 2 questions that you have to ask yourself when trying to rediscover yourself. Who am I and why am I healing? I love this, man, because it really allows you to take a deeper look at yourself. It allows you to do a self-evaluation of where your life is headed, of what you want in the future, or why you're doing this, why you're going through the things that you're going through. And it gives you a purpose. It gives you a why. That's most importantly. That's why it's my favorite. It gives you a why. A reason to keep doing what you're doing, to keep healing, to stay on your healing path. And at some point, you gotta ask yourself, is this surface healing or is this soul healing? Is this healing at its deepest level? Am I becoming my authentic self? Those are the questions that you get to ask yourself during phase 3, during the rediscovery. And phase 4 is the fun part. Phase 4 is where healing transitions into soaring, where you get to reclaim your wings, you get to take back your light, you get to take back your childlike joy, where you say, who was that 6 months ago? I don't even recognize that person. And that's what makes phase 4 so fun, because you can actually see your growth. You can see who you're turning into, who you want to be, and the steps you're taking to get there. But phase 4 isn't the destination. It isn't the ending point. This is all temporary. This is all a cycle because, like I said at the beginning, we are always going to be healing on this path, on this journey, in this cycle of healing from trauma, because life is suffering. Life sucks. Everything dissolves, everything changes. The only thing constant in life is change. And grasping onto what was is the cause of that suffering. And that sucks, but it's okay at the same time. But now we have an outline that we can refer back to when we are ready to take it to that next step in our healing journey or in our healing process. So let's recap. Phase 1 is the initiation. Pain is the catalyst to growth. So we have to be aware of that pain in order to start our healing process. Phase 2, the crawling phase, the learning phase, seeing what's out there, seeing what works for other people. Now we have to appreciate every single stage of the healing process or this healing journey, because if we don't, we're going to be stuck in a cycle and we'll always end up back at step 1 or phase 1, getting hurt, the pain. Phase 3 is rediscovery of self, relearning yourself, trusting yourself again, getting in touch with your authentic self, wanting to tap into your limitless potential and your childlike joy. Phase 4, the fun part, reclaiming your wings and soaring. Becoming the new version of yourself that you have built, that you have pushed towards. I really hope this helped you. I really hope that this has painted a picture of what healing could possibly look like in your life. Maybe this has added some clarity to where you are in your healing journey, what stages you might be in, where you need to go next, or even how to get started. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Keep coming back every Wednesday. We're dropping new episodes, new tools, tips, and tricks to go in your mental health toolkit to help you maintain a positive mindset. Until next time, remember to stay focused, stay inspired, and please, please, don't let anyone touch your mindset.